Welcome to Skinner and Chalmers' Weekly Roast. Today in the shadows, hedgehogs, nocturnal lives and unseen adventures. Hedgehog facts you never knew.
Welcome back, everyone, to another exciting episode. Today, we've got a prickly subject to dive into, one that's close to the hearts of two of our special guests. That's right, we're talking about some fascinating and surprising facts about hedgehogs, thanks to the suggestion of that, which lurks in Discord. Thank you for the feedback. And with us, we've got not one, but two hedgehog experts. Welcome back to the show, Sonic and Shadow.
That's right. When it comes to hedgehogs, who better to enlighten us than the two guys who practically wrote the book on the subject? So, Sonic, Shadow, you both ready to give us a glimpse into the mysterious world of yourselves?
Oh, absolutely. I'm pumped to be here again. There's a lot more hedgehogs than just speed and spikes. You know, I've been looking forward to sharing some fun stuff with you guys.
And I'll add that it's an honor to be talking about hedgehogs in this way. There's quite a bit about us that even we didn't know until recently, like a few facts that even call you off guard.
Wait, seriously? You mean to say that even you two don't know all the ins and outs of hedgehogdom?
You'd think I would, right? But hedgehogs have been around for a long time, and there's just so much quirky stuff out there. I mean, I might know a few cool tricks and have a good speed, but there's a lot about hedgehogs that even I found surprising.
That's exactly what I love about this, getting to learn from the experts who are still surprised by their own species. And it's true, some of these facts are genuinely wild. I read that hedgehogs are actually cute little creatures, and they've been making themselves right at home in cities and even places like cemeteries. They're kind of the night owls of the urban world.
Yep, they're definitely the party animals of the animal kingdom, at least at night. And I've got to say, the whole living in cemeteries thing, that's pretty metal. Who knew they had that dark side?
Well, I won't say anything about that. It's actually pretty clever when you think about it. Cemeteries and railways, they're safe spots. Less human disturbance, easy access to food, and no predators. They've figured out the perfect way to stay hidden and safe.
Cemeteries, though. I mean, I get it, but still seems like an odd choice of residence. I bet that's not in any real estate brochure.
And speaking of things you don't expect, hedgehogs are also these crepuscular and nocturnal little sleepers, right? They hibernate through winter, they snooze through the day. The ultimate loungers.
Oh, totally. Hedgehogs pretty much wrote the book on chilling out. Winter hits. They're like, see ya in spring. Kind of jealous, actually.
There's a beauty in that balance. Activity at dawn and night, rest during the day. It's a pattern they've perfected. And don't get me started on hibernation. That's a skill I wish I could master.
Same here. Hibernate through the cold months. That sounds like a dream, right? Like, hit pause on all responsibilities until the flowers start blooming again.
Well, if that's the secret to hedgehog life, sign me up. But I heard they have their weaknesses too. Apparently, they're not big on milk. Isn't that weird? I always thought they were all about milk.
Actually, that's a total myth. Turns out they're lactose intolerant. I read that people used to think hedgehogs sneaked milk straight from cows in fields, but it's terrible for them.
Yeah, that one shocked me. People always used to leave milk out for them, thinking they were helping. But nope, thanks for the thought. But we cannot break down and digest lactose. Hedgehogs are more into bugs than dairy.
Wait, hold on, bugs, like actual wriggly bugs.
Yep. Worms, beetles, slugs, spiders. They're basically gourmet for hedgehogs, and they're incredibly skilled hunters. You'd be amazed at what a hedgehog can eat. For my part, I prefer a good glass of apple juice. Speaking of which, have you heard that our favorite winemaker Whoop, also offers fruit juices now? Be sure to try the latest apple juice. Heaven on earth.
Thanks for the tip. Would you like to come and see me later? Then pour me a glass. But yeah, hedgehogs have a real taste for adventure in their diet. And with those senses of theirs, smell and hearing over eyesight, they can track down, some pretty interesting stuff in the dark.
That's so impressive. Honestly, it's like they're these mini survival experts, adapted to urban life, feasting on whatever's available, finding hidden places to hibernate. They've got their own little ecosystem going.
And yet, they're also these fast little guys. I mean, not as fast as you Sonic, but still hitting top speeds of nearly 5 miles an hour. That's around 7 to 8 kilometers per hour. That's nothing to sneeze at for a creature so small.
They've got heart, that's for sure. It's more about determination than speed. You know what they say. Sometimes it's about the journey, not the destination. Hedgehogs definitely take that to heart.
Agreed. There's something admirable about us. Even with our challenges, hedgehogs don't have the best eyesight, but they navigate through scent and sound. Their resilience, their quiet way of handling life, it's a lot more impressive than people realize.
This is amazing, guys. Hedgehogs are like these unsung heroes of the animal world. Tiny, mighty, and definitely way more complex than they seem.
Definitely one of my favorite episodes so far, and we're just getting started. Wait until we dig into their spiky personality quirks.
Oh, just wait. We've only scratched the surface here. The best is yet to come.
Agreed. And I think our listeners are in for a few more surprises. Just as I was surprised that Skinner has allowed his palm tree to grow vigorously. This is probably due to the new fertilizer.
Yes, the palm tree is developing really good. But now to another interesting fact. Did you know hedgehogs can be found all over the place, from European woods to African plains, even some of the busiest cityscapes? They're like the ultimate survivalists.
Yeah, they're like little adventurers. I'd say they're the underdog kings of city living. They've taken urban sprawl and turned it into hedgehog heaven.
No, kidding. Now, I can't help but imagine a hedgehog just darting through a city alleyway at night, dodging trash cans and slipping through fences. You think I'll ever run into one if I'm doing a little night run?
Can you imagine? You racing down one side of an alleyway and a little hedgehog booking it down the other side. A true showdown.
If that's the case, Sonic, you might have some real competition. Hedgehogs are maybe not the fastest, but they know the art of stealth and survival. I'd say they'd be better suited for the urban jungle than you think.
Oh, challenge accepted. Although, I'd say they're probably too smart to waste their time on speed. I mean, if they've managed to carve out little sanctuaries in cities, they've obviously got strategy on their side. It's like hedgehog real estate moguls.
Well, they've really mastered urban real estate in their own way. I read that hedgehogs are true city slickers when it comes to finding hiding spots and routes to food. It's almost like they've developed their own form of hedgehog networking, connecting green spaces and safe zones.
That's a pretty accurate take. Hedgerows, parks, little pockets of nature within the city, these all connect, forming a habitat network for them. It's as if they've created their own little hedgehog highways, moving quietly between their territories.
Exactly. And in ecology, there's this concept of patches and matrix. Patches are like islands of habitat where animals live, while the matrix is everything around them. Often human-made structures, roads, buildings. For hedgehogs, those patches are their lifelines, and the matrix, well, it's a risky zone.
So, basically, hedgehogs are like these stealthy little spies, moving through a network of patches and navigating the matrix without getting caught. That's pretty genius.
Yes, Sonic. They need these green patches close enough to travel between them. If they are too far away, chances are high they will never reach another patch. And without that connectivity, there is the chance that a population within a patch could run very low, even reaching a critical value so that the population can't keep itself up. However, the problem only occurs with very small patches. Larger patches are more robust. It's a subtle art.
Right? And it's even more than that. Hedgehogs are solitary, so they don't travel in groups. It's each hedgehog for itself out there, which makes it even tougher. They're incredibly resilient creatures, but green strips or bridges are all the more important to ensure better connectivity between such patches. In ecology, these are called corridors, but how much they are utilized is ultimately not guaranteed. But these corridors usually work and create a connection between patches. Plus, It helps with genetic diversity this way.
Genetic diversity, huh? I guess that's important fare on their own, moving from patch to patch. How does that work?
It's all about keeping the population connected so there's enough exchange between them to prevent inbreeding. If they're too isolated, populations get smaller and less diverse, which leads to weaker generations. Low genetic heterogeneity can in turn lead to a population being less resistant to diseases, for example. So those little hedgehog highways we talked about, they're essential for keeping genes flowing.
In a way, hedgehogs have built their own version of bridges between habitats. They navigate these corridors carefully, and by moving from patch to patch, they increase their chances of survival. It's subtle but brilliant.
Wow, they're like tiny, spiky masterminds. All this planning, just to survive in our chaotic world.
They're truly remarkable, aren't they? Hedgehogs have figured out the rules of the urban game and play it better than we realize.
Definitely. They're the unexpected stars of the city ecosystem. We might not see them often, but they're out there, weaving through the fabric of urban life, keeping their secret world alive.
And I, for one, am rooting for them. The way they adapt, the solo missions through cities, the whole Hedgehog network. They've got my respect, even if these networks are more of a coincidence and not based on actual cooperation between the animals.
Agreed. There's a quiet strength in their resilience, and it's something we can all learn from. They may be solitary, but they're never truly alone in this interconnected world.
Solitary indeed. Outside of breeding season or the occasional food spot, hedgehogs like their own space. They're solitary by nature, and they don't play well with others. So when they move, they're moving alone, facing all the risks solo.
Man, that's tough. Kind of makes you appreciate how determined they are. Imagine navigating an entire city alone and knowing exactly where to find food, water, and shelter without GPS. No less.
It takes a level of adaptability most animals can't achieve. They've adapted to make use of human-made structures as if they were part of the natural environment. Parks, railways, and cemeteries are essentially hedgehog-friendly zones. While they avoid roads and crowded areas, at least they definitely should avoid roads with traffic.
And that's another brilliant move. By sticking to those quieter places, hedgehogs avoid most of the hazards we humans throw in their way. It's all about finding the right patch and staying away from the worst of the matrix.
Couldn't have said it better. Now, to go deeper into another fact that we mentioned in the intro, unlike Sonic here, wild hedgehogs are real night owls. They spend most of the day asleep, only waking up to start their activities after the sun goes down or right around dawn. So they're practically doing night shifts. Definitely not the round-the-clock runner type.
That's hilarious. I guess that means Sonic might be missing a little of his true hedgehogness. How do you manage to be so high energy all day, Sonic? Think maybe it's time for a little afternoon nap.
Hey, I can't help it if I break the mold. Besides, I do my best work during the cooler hours, just like any self-respecting hedgehog. And, avoiding the hottest parts of the day is kind of my way of keeping it authentic.
That's the one thing you've got right, Sonic. Hedgehogs aren't fans of extreme heat. They're more into that cool, comfortable temperature. Staying active in the evening, night, and early morning is ideal for them. Plus, there's the added perk of avoiding certain nuisances. Fewer predators and less commotion, I guess.
Oh, I get it now. So, the real reason hedgehogs stay out is to avoid sunburn. Those spines probably don't offer much in terms of SPF.
Sonic, a hedgehog in need of sunscreen, that's a mental image I didn't know I needed today. Can you imagine a little hedgehog slapping on a layer of sunscreen before heading out?
As amusing as that is, it's actually a solid survival strategy. By being active when it's darker and cooler, hedgehogs avoid not just sun exposure but also the threat of certain predators. Their natural cover of night gives them a bit of a tactical advantage.
Exactly. They take advantage of the night to forage and explore while keeping out of sight. In some ways, it's like they're these little covered agents. They move through shadows, unseen, and by dawn, they're tucked back in for a nap.
Sounds like they're the masters of the sneak out and sneak back in routine. Maybe I should try that sometime. Less running, more tactical movement. Although, I can't promise I won't still be a blur.
Sonic, tactical is not a word I'd usually associate with you. But who knows, maybe one night you'll pull off the ultimate hedgehog move and vanish in plain sight.
Oh, you're on. I'll show you tactical. Chalmers, see? Might even pull a disappearing act next time I zip through town.
Good luck with that, Sonic. But while you're working on your stealth skills, keep in mind that most of the other hedgehogs also take it slow and deliberate. They're not as flashy as you, but they've mastered the art of moving unnoticed.
There's definitely an elegance to it. Moving through shadows, staying hidden in plain sight, all while staying cool and out of trouble. Hedgehogs are pretty sophisticated when you think about it.
Hey, I can appreciate that. Maybe they're onto something with the whole nightlife thing. Plus, I bet the food tastes better at night. Gives it a nice charm dining in the moonlight.
And let's not forget they also avoid the hassle of dealing with us humans this way. Fewer cars, less noise of the peace and quiet must be worth it at night.
I hear that. Nothing like a little peace and quiet to get some serious foraging done. But I still think I'd add a bit more speed to it. Hedgehogs may be masters of the night, but you can't beat a good sprint to get the adrenaline going.
Well, as long as you don't go racing through their hedgerows, I think the wild hedgehogs will be just fine. They like their solitude, remember.
Yeah, I know. They're introverts, but they've got an adventurous streak. That's actually kind of cool.
It is. They know when to blend in, how to keep their distance, and how to survive in a challenging environment. Solitary but self-sufficient.
Sounds like they're the ultimate lone wolves, or lone hedgehogs, I guess. Living life on their own terms, no crowds, no fuss, just one hedgehog against the world.
I can respect that. We hedgehogs are pretty hardcore if you ask me. It's almost like they're tiny rebels, staying true to themselves no matter what.
Couldn't agree more. Sonic, but to a different topic, now that we have two real hedgehogs in our studio, here's a question I've been dying to ask ye. Why exactly are hedgehogs called, well, hedgehogs? I mean, they don't look like your typical woodland creature, and I don't see any resemblance to actual hogs. Sonic, Shadow.
Good question, Skinner. They're called hedgehogs for a pretty specific reason. The kidge part comes from where they often build their nests. Hedges, shrubs, and bushes. They love to settle in those cozy little headyouts. And the hedgehog part, well, that's because their snout resembles that of a pig or a hog.
Yep, that little piggy nose of theirs. On a snout, I could see a hedgehog and a pig becoming best friends. One digs up bugs and worms, the other, I don't know, sniffs around for truffles. Perfect match, right?
Wait, so hedgehogs are basically little pig-nosed critters that hang out in bushes. Now that is a fun fact, but why the long snout anyway? Seems like it'd get in the way more than anything.
Actually, the long snout is a huge advantage. We hedgehogs have an incredible sense of smell, which helps us sniff out all sorts of food. Insects, caterpillars, worms, berries. They're expert foragers. The snout lets them get right up close and personal with their dinner.
Exactly. Plus, that snout isn't just long, it's also wet, kind of like a dog's nose, which makes their sense of smell even better. Hedgehogs rely on scent to hunt down meals, even in pitch darkness.
Wow, so they're like tiny nocturnal detectives. Detecting worms and insects instead of clues, though. That's actually kind of impressive.
Hedgehog CSI. These little guys don't just rely on smell, either. They've got fantastic hearing, too, able to pick up high-frequency sounds like ultrasound levels. Imagine having ears that sharp.
Hang on, ultrasound. You're telling me these little bush dwellers are out there listening to frequencies that we can't even hear?
Pretty much. Hedgehogs' hearing is finely tuned to pick up on the teeniest sounds. It helps them keep track of predators, as well as any potential meals moving around in the underbrush. Makes them more alert, too.
So, if I whisper about a hedgehog from across a yard, they're probably going to hear me.
Oh, they'll hear you. Better make sure it's a compliment.
I wouldn't be surprised if they picked up on more than that. Hedgehogs are practically equipped with a whole arsenal of survival tools. Keen hearing, a powerful nose, and some impressive defenses. They're tougher than they look, although they can't really see much.
I mean, why the need of good eyes if it's dark anyway? And let's not forget their famous self-anointing habit. They'll find a new scent, like from a plant or insect, and then start licking it, spreading it all over their spines. It's like a hedgehog version of perfume.
Wait, they lick it and then they spread it on themselves. That's both unique and maybe a bit gross.
Hedgehogs aren't worried about impressing anybody. They're more like, if it smells interesting, I'm wearing it. It's probably more about marking territory, though some people think it helps with camouflage. You know, like smell like the surrounding. Makes it harder for predators to find them, I guess.
It could also be a form of pest control. The chemicals from certain plants might help ward off parasites. They know what they're doing. They've been perfecting this routine for a long time.
All right, so they've got piggy noses, heightened senses, and a self-defense perfume routine. Hedgehogs are basically the Swiss Army knives of the animal kingdom.
Makes you wonder, though, if they're so well equipped, why aren't hedgehogs out there ruling the world? I mean, they've got all the tools to be kings of the underbrush.
Maybe they're more humble than that. Not every animal needs to be a power ruler, Chalmers. Hedgehogs are content with their cozy nests, their night foraging, and keeping things low-key.
Exactly. They're highly adaptable but not aggressive. It's more about survival and self-preservation than anything else. That's their strength.
I think that's actually pretty noble. A quiet, independent creature that just minds its own business and gets by with a little ingenuity.
Hedgehogs may be humble, but they're the ultimate underdogs. Or should I say under hedges? They've got it all worked out. Keep a low profile, don't make waves, and snack on anything you find. But now, get this, guys. Hedgehogs may look all small and round, but these little guys are more athletic than you'd think. They can run, climb, even swim. And when they're out foraging, they'll travel up to 2 miles in a single night. Not bad for those little legs, right? Of course, nothing against shadows and my speed, but still impressive.
2 miles. On those short little legs, that's like me running a marathon.
And here I thought hedgehogs were all about that slow, steady lifestyle. Sounds like they're secretly little explorers out there covering ground every night.
Exactly. They're way more energetic than most people realize. Sure, they really hit about 7-8 kilometers per hour tops, but for their size, that's some serious speed.
All right, then riddle me this, Sonic. How is it that you can go tearing through Green Hill Zone at, 700 kilometers an hour? Are you part hedgehog, part jet engine?
Oh, come on, Chalmers, you know me better than that. It's no natural. I'm fast, sure, but my special shoes definitely boost my speed. It's kind of like my little secret weapon.
Special shoes. So if we gave a regular hedgehog a pair of your shoes, they'd be tearing up the backyard.
Not exactly, but it'd be hilarious to see them try. No, my shoes are made for me. They help channel my natural speed. A regular hedgehog just doesn't have the same, wiring, let's say.
It's all about design. Sonic's shoes reduce friction and absorb impact. They're engineered to handle extreme speeds, something the average hedgehog, or person, for that matter, couldn't manage.
So it's like Sonic's speed is hedgehog skills on steroids thanks to these shoes. Makes sense. And hey, I bet those little wild hedgehogs think they're breaking records just going 8 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, exactly. They might not be going my speed, but they're doing their thing out there. Running around at night, finding food, dodging obstacles, staying sharp. They're pretty impressive. Little athletes in their own right.
And they don't rely on high-tech gadgets. They've developed those skills naturally over time. Running, climbing, swimming. It's all instinct for them.
Hold on, hedgehogs can swim. I had no idea. They don't seem like the type to dive into a pond for a quick lap.
They're actually pretty solid swimmers. Hedgehogs are surprising buoyant, so they can paddle around if they need to cross water. They're usually trying to avoid big bodies of water, but they can handle a little swim if the situation calls for it.
So, let's recap. We've got hedgehogs running, climbing, foraging, 2 miles a night, and swimming. They're basically little adventurers.
They are. Hedgehogs might not be the fastest creatures in the world, but they're incredibly determined. They'll climb over obstacles, swim across streams, and cover impressive ground every night, all in search of food and safety.
You know, in their own way, they're every bit as adventurous as I am. At the speed, sure, but they've got the stamina. It takes serious dedication to forage every night, especially with all the challenges they face out there.
You're telling me they're like little survivalists out there. Makes me want to cheer them on, honestly. Go Hedgehogs!
Agreed. Here's to the hedgehogs, the ultimate nighttime explorers. Small but mighty with a serious sense of determination.
To that skin.
To that indeed.
You know, to close the episode with another fact, hedgehogs have this amazing built-in defense system with their spines. They just roll up into a tight little ball, and all those spines act like armor. Nothing's getting past that.
Oh, you mean like this? Check it out. I'm rolling up. How's my form?
Not bad, Sonic, but I'll give it a 6 out of 10. You've got the shape, but you're missing the spine factor. No spiky defenses on you, my friend.
Oh, come on. I was going for a solid A. But yeah, I've won the bead in the spike department, that's for sure.
It's true. Those spines are like their personal armor made of keratin. Same material as human hair. But where we get hair, they get thousands of those sharp spines.
Wait, thousands? How many are we talking here?
Anywhere between 5,000 and 7,000 spines, actually. And they don't stay the same their whole lives. Hedgehogs shed and grow new spines as they age.
Imagine that. Your own body, just replacing its defenses all the time. It's like a little suit of armor they get to renew whenever they need it. And if any predators come too close, boom, they just curl up and those spines do the rest.
It's impressive, really. But it also highlights just how much hedgehogs rely on their natural environment to survive. Unfortunately, with the way things are going, their numbers are dropping, especially in rural areas. I mean, it always depends on the country, and for a long time, hedgehogs were not in danger. But at least in Germany, they are on the red list as potentially endangered nowadays.
Yeah, it's pretty rough out there for them. So many natural habitats are disappearing, and hedgehogs can't really adapt to every environment. They need specific conditions to stay safe.
That's right. All the hedges and bushes they'd normally hide in are being cleared for development. And don't even get me started on roads. Hedgehogs don't exactly have the luxury of looking both ways.
It's a huge problem. They can cross 2 miles in a night for food, but in cities and towns, that often means crossing roads. And it doesn't always end well.
It's heartbreaking, but I think people can help. If people knew a little more about what hedgehogs need, maybe we'd see more folks turning their gardens into hedgehog-friendly spaces. Little shelters, safe passages, even just being careful on the roads could make a difference.
Exactly. If people make small changes, like cutting little gaps in fences so hedgehogs can travel between gardens without hitting the road, that could save so many, and planting native plants. Leaving a corner of the garden wild, those things can go a long way.
Yeah, let the hedgehogs have their little jungle gyms, and hey, they get rid of pests too, don't they? Kind of a win-win if you ask me.
They do. They love eating insects, slugs, and caterpillars, so they're actually quite helpful to gardeners. No need for pesticides when you've got hedgehogs on patrol, I think.
Then it sounds like we just need to spread the word. More gardens that are hedgehog-friendly, fewer pesticides, more awareness on the roads. It's all little things that add up. It's enough for people to simply leave the leaves in the garden in autumn. That can have an impact.
Definitely. And if each of us does our part, we can make a real difference. Hedgehogs may have that built-in armor, but sometimes they need a little help from us to keep exploring and surviving.
And hey, if that means I get a few more hedgehogs scurrying around our garden, I'm all for it.
All right, team, to wrap up this episode, how about we each share our favorite fact about hedgehogs? I'll go first. Did you know that they can actually eat venomous snakes? That's right, they've got this amazing resistance to snake venom, at least to a certain amount, which lets them take on way more than they seem capable of.
Whoa, snake-fighting hedgehogs. Now that I'd like to see. I won like tiny gladiator matches out there in the wild.
Imagine it in this corner, fully armed hedgehog, and in the other, a first little snake. Winner takes well dinner.
I'd bet on the hedgehog every time. They don't look it, but they're pretty tough for their size. That resistance to venom really gives them an edge in the wild.
All right, my turn. My favorite fact has to be the pull-off hedgehog parkour, like we were talking about earlier. I mean, they can run, climb, and even swim if they need to. And they do it all with those tiny little legs. Impressive stuff, if you ask me.
Tiny, sure, but I'd say they're surprisingly agile. I might just have to check in my local cemetery or park after dark to spot one doing a little night shift patrol.
Yeah, and if you see one practicing parkour moves, little hedgehog obstacle courses in the moonlight.
Hedgehog parkour, huh? I think they do pretty well with it, especially since they cover so much ground at night. Though I'll have you know it's not easy keeping up with these little guys.
Are you saying hedgehogs can give you a run for your money, Shadow?
Let's just say they're stealthier than you'd expect. They've got skills for navigating all kinds of terrain.
Love it. And Chalmers, what's your favorite hedgehog fact?
Oh, definitely that they can roll themselves into small spiked balls and thus defend themselves against enemies. Or that hedgehogs have an exceptionally good sense of smell, which helps them to find food and find their way around their environment.
Nice one. This was a blast all in all. I'm always down to talk more about my hedgehog buddies. Who knew there was so much to learn?
Absolutely. Thanks for having us, Skinner. And hey, maybe next time we'll dive into porcupines. Now that's a cousin with some interesting quirks.
Sounds like a plan, Shadow. Thanks to everyone for tuning in, and remember, if you want to help out hedgehogs in your area, a few small changes can make a big difference. Keep your gardens wild, drive safe, and be on the lookout for any little guys out there.
And if you see one practicing parkour moves at night, you know who inspired them.
Exactly, hedgehog athletes. Coming to a backyard near you.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you in the next episode. Stay curious, keep exploring, and maybe next time we'll have more animal facts to share. Take care, everyone.
Bye, have a nice
Yeah.
Or evening.
Or week, or year, or whatever. See you next time.